So we are on the third day of Lord Jagannath's pastime, Jai Jagannath. So we'll start with a small prayer, a reminder that there's a Rath Yatra on Monday, the 7th of July, and this is an invitation open to all. You're welcome to join, be part of the Rath Yatra on July 7th. It starts in the evening, and the path of the Rath Yatra that's going to take will start from the temple and go back to the temple. You're all welcome to be part of that procession and in the Seva of Jagannath during that time. Okay, let's start with our prayers for the day. Is there anyone who wants to lead the prayers? I'll start it. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri-Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna-preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachyatya Deshatharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So let's move on to the Pranama Mantra of Jagannath. Anyone wants to chant his prayers? You can unmute yourself and start praying.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Neelachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaya Te Namaha. 3 times, Mataji.
Let's give a chance to somebody else. If anyone else wants to try it. One time, done.
May I, Mataji?
Yes, Kalyani Mataji, go ahead.
नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्रभ्यं जगन्नाथाय ते नमः. Hare Krishna.
One more time,
Jai.
anyone?
Me, Mataji.
Pavitra Mataji, go ahead.
नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्रभ्यं जगन्नाथाय ते नमः.
Jai.
Thank you. Jai.
Okay. Our prayers to Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadramai, Sudarshan, and Lord Nrsimha, Radha Bangaloreshwara, and Gaur Nitai, Tulsi Mai, Shad Goswami, Guru Parampara, and Srila Prabhupada, and I see Govardhan as well. So our prayers to all of them to help us go through the third day of pastimes of Jagannath. So before we start, let's pray once to Jagannath. There's a beautiful prayer called Jagannath Ashtakam. Is there anyone who wants to start the prayers? You can do 1 para, 2 verse, anything is fine. Okay, I'll start. If you feel like joining in, raise your hand and I'll pass on the control to you at that point. Okay. Kadachit kalindi thata vipina sangita karao Mudha bhira nari vadhana kamala swadha madhupa Rama Shambhu Brahma Marapati Ganesha Chitapado Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me Bhuja Sevis Venum Shirasi Shiki Pitcham Katitate Dukulam netrante sahachara kataksham vidhadate Sadha Srimad Vrindavana vasati lila parichayo Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me Mahambodhastire kanaka ruchire nila shikare वसन् प्रसादान्ता सहज बलभद्रे बलीना सुभद्रमध्या स्थिता सकलसुरासेव सरादो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे कृपा परवारस जल जलधा श्रेणिरुचिरो रमावाणी रमा स्फुरधमलपङ्केरुहमुखा सुरेन्द्रेर्रुस् आराध्य श्रुतिगणसिका गीतचरितो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे रथारूढो गच्छान् पतिमिलिता भूदेव पताले स्तुति प्रारुब्धाभ्यं प्रतिपदम् उपाकर्ण्य सधाय दया सिन्धुर्बन्धु सकल जगतं सिन्धुसुताय जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे Krishna Priya Mataji, continue from 6.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Parabrahmapidako balayadalotullanayano Nivasinindratra Nivitacharano Rasanantur Sarasa Vapunan Rasoko Jagannath Swami Mahavato Navayachiraja Nachapapnatya Vibhavam Nayachiham Ramyam Sakalajanapamyam Varabadam Sada Karnikamitra Pati Yatajarito Jagannath Swami Pathagami Mahavato Aratvam Samsaram Dro Tatanamasaram Surapatu Aratvam Papanam Vitatim Aparapujadavapatu Ahodi Vita Stituvidam Jagannath Swami Pathagami Mahavato Jagannath Swami Pathagami Mahavato Jagannathashtakam Punyam Yapate Shuchi Sarva Pupa Vishuddhatma Vishnu Lokam Sagachati. Shri Jagannath Ashtakam ki jai. Hare
Jai.
Krishna, very sorry for
Hare
joining late,
Krishna.
Master.
No problem. Shri Jagannath Ashtakam ki jai, Jagannath ki jai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadramai ki jai. Okay, so we are on the third day of Jagannath pastimes. So the first day, our Sridhar Hari Prabhu very nicely spoke about how Jagannath appeared in Puri from Neela Madhava form, how we came to the form of Jagannath. And also the pastime of how Rohini Mataji was explaining the pastimes of Krishna, Balram in Vrindavana. And just listening to that, Krishna, Balram, and even Subhadramai, they went into the Mahabhava form. And that's the form we see as Jagannath today. So that's a very nice pastime. And yesterday we went through how the pastimes of Jagannath in Puri Kshetra itself, Sri Kshetra, Purushottama Kshetra. We spoke about 5 different festivals over there. Does anyone remember what are those 5 festivals that Premamai Mataji spoke about yesterday?
Snana Yatra, Hati Vesha, Veera Panchami, and Navakala Vera.
Navakal and Ratha Yatra itself. Yes, yes, right. So remember, today we are talking about another place. It's a place called Rajapur. Does anyone know where this Rajapur is?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Mayapur.
In Mayapur, yes, close to Mayapur. How many of you have been to this place, Mayapur or Rajapur for that matter? You can raise your hand or just put a yes on the chat. Nobody? Nobody so far? Okay, I can see few on the chat. Okay.
Yes, Mataji, I visited.
Yes. Put it on chat. Let's see how many of you. Yes. So yeah, a couple of you, not many I see. Okay. But today will be a nice day to formally introduce you to the Jagannath in Rajapur. And as you go through listening to the stories, pastimes of Jagannath in this area, you'll see how close he is to his devotees, how he's personally connected to his devotees. And there's so many pastimes of Jagannath in this area. So first, let's understand where is this Rajapur and how it's connected to Mayapur. So these are the deities of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadramai in Rajapur. So this comes in a place called West Bengal. So it's on the West Bengal, the eastmost state of India. Now, within West Bengal, there's a place called Navadvipa. So what is the literal meaning of Navadvipa? It means 9 islands. So this Navadvipa is split into 9 islands, like you see on my screen. The center Dvipa is Antardvipa. This is where we see the Mayapur Chandrodaya temple. This is the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya as well. And here, few kilometers, about 6 kilometers from Mayapur, is a place called Simantadvipa. Okay, and this is where Jagannath is today, running his current pastimes. So he is within Simantadvipa. There's a place called Rajapur, and this is where he's showing up now. Okay, so just to give you a general lay of this temple, how it is today. Okay, and we'll show you some pictures of the temple as well. So this is how the Rajapur temple looks today. So as you enter, if you walk straight, on the wall over here on the left side, you'll see a diorama of pictures of various pastimes of Jagannath in Rajapur. So as you go straight, you enter the Jagannath Mandir over here. Okay, and if you go behind the temple, we have a Simanta Devi who's in a meditative state. She's meditating on whom? If anyone knows who is Simanta Devi and who is she meditating on? The answer is on the screen, but I'll let you answer. Does anyone know who is Simanta Devi?
Hare Krishna, I think she's Mother Parvati.
Mother Parvati, correct. And it so happened, this pastime happened in Satya Yuga. Suddenly, Lord Shiva was meditating Gauranga. He's in some kind of ecstasy, just talking, loudly chanting this Gauranga name. So Mother Parvati becomes very curious. Who is this Gauranga? Tell me, who is he? What is this name that you're chanting? So Lord Shiva explains that Gauranga is Krishna himself. He's going to appear in the Kali Yuga in his Gauranga form, golden complexion, and he's going to preach Nama Sankirtana in the Kali Yuga. And just hearing all this, Mother Parvati wanted to feel the same ecstasy. She came to this Simanta Dvipa, the current Simanta Dvipa, and she started meditating from Satya Yuga all the way to Kali Yuga, she just sat here and meditated on Lord Chaitanya. She wanted to feel the same ecstasy that Lord Shiva was feeling. And it so happened that in Kali Yuga, one day she could hear Nama Sankirtana, and Lord Chaitanya himself was leading that Sankirtana. And just hearing that Sankirtana, she could understand that this is the Lord himself. And she started crying. She started crying, and Lord Chaitanya saw this. He approached her and inquired, why are you crying? What is happening? So she explained, I'm Mother Parvati, Maya Devi herself, right? And wherever Krishna is there, Maya cannot appear, right? There's no ignorance when there's knowledge or light. So Maya Devi cannot appear where Krishna is there. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu consoled her and said, you're actually Yoga Maya, which is Yoga Maya is Krishna's internal energy. So she's equivalent to Radha herself, right? In Vrindavana, she has shown many pastimes as Paurnamasi, where she used to arrange nice pastimes between Krishna, Gopis, Radha. And in Mayapur, she is as Prauda Maya, Prauda Maya, where she's protecting Mayapur temple. And in this place, as Simanta Devi in Rajapur, she is in constant meditation. She's meditating out on Chaitanya. And so he explains that she is no less. Without her, none of his appearance, disappearance can be successful. Now, listening to this, Parvati Devi, she took the dust of the lotus feet and she applied on her Simanta, this area on the center part where the ladies usually put their kunkuma. That's called Simanta. So that's how this place gets the name Simanta Dvipa. Okay, and right in front of Simanta Devi's temple is a small pond over there. And this is where you might be aware, if you go to Vrindavana, there's a Nauka Vihar that happens every once a year. So this pond is where a Nauka Vihar happens for Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadramai, even today. And further, if you go, there's a Tulsi Mantap. And further, if you go on here, this path, there's a Shiva Linga. The Shiva Linga is the Palaka, Kshetra Palaka. So he's there as a linga form. And then there's this Kalpa Vriksha tree. And before this Jagannath Mandir came, which was built by ISKCON, there was a smaller temple where Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadramai was taken care of. And that temple is still there. And they are over here on the right side of the campus. And if you go further, there's a samadhi of this Prabhuji called Jayananda Prabhuji. He's very famous in ISKCON. He was a US Prabhuji. He was from US, and he's famous because he has set up many Rath Yatras. He's helped Srila Prabhupada organize so many Rath Yatras and make the Rath Yatras so famous all over the world. For his service, when he left his body, they wanted to create a samadhi. And ISKCON decided that this would be the best place to have a samadhi or a memorial. And even today, if you go to this Rajapuri, on his samadhi, Jayananda Prabhuji used to wear a vest, a coat. So even today, you find that coat on the samadhi. So this is how we remember him, for his efforts, for his seva to Srila Prabhupada and Jagannath. So this is the lay of the land as we have it today. And between all this, you will see a lot of garden, you will see a lot of fruits, mangoes, jackfruits, a lot of flowers. In fact, there's a flower garden for Radha Madhav of Mayapur over here. Mayapur is known for it has a lot of floods, especially in the rainy season. Mother Ganga comes to Mayapur to have darshan of the Lord. So because of that, to keep the services going, they have built a small garden over here, and that flowers are offered to Radha Madhav. So the deity service never stops, even if the temple is flooded with Ganga. So this is how we have this temple structure as it is today. And a few real-time pictures of the place. This is the entrance of the temple. And as you go straight, you'll find the Jagannath Baldev Subhadramai temple. And this is Simanta Devi in meditation of Lord Chaitanya. These are the deities that we have today. Okay. So let's talk about the pastimes of Rajapur. These are very, very nice pastimes. You can immediately connect to how the Lord is reciprocating to his devotees. And the first time the Lord appeared, I'm saying first time because he's appeared more than one, manifested more than one time in Rajapur. But the first earliest record of this is in the 7th century. And how did that happen? Because the Lord was always in Puri. So how did he appear in Rajapur? So we are going to talk about it. Okay. So this happened. There was a king called Raktabahu, very sinful, impious. He attacked Odisha from the sea. And when he attacked, what did he do? He killed all the pious people. He broke the temples. He broke the deities within the temple. So all the devotees are very scared now, right? So he was a Yavana king called Raktabahu, right? The name itself, he likes to have the blood of the Brahmins. So everyone was afraid, especially the pious devotees of Jagannath, because he was slowly approaching Puri. So what did the devotees do? They approached the Lord and said, this miscreant king, Raktabahu, is soon approaching Puri. And we don't know how to, even if he tries to attack you, we'll come in between because we love you more than ourselves. We are going to save you whatever happens. So if you could make some arrangement to save the temple and the deities within, that would be great. So please help us. So they pray to Lord Jagannath in this way. Right. So that night, the head priest of Jagannath Puri had this dream where Lord Jagannath tells him that I'm very happy with the devotion that the devotees of Puri are showing. They love me more than themselves. But sometimes I do perform these pastimes so that I give opportunities to seva to my devotees. Like I go through certain hardships, so the devotees come forward and do some service. And in that way, their love and attachment to Jagannath increases. So he said, so this is one such opportunity. There's nothing to worry. Don't fear. All you have to do is arrange for me to be taken from Puri to this place in Bengal, right? So immediately this priest got up, woke up from his dream, and he announced what's happened. And immediately they started making arrangements to take Lord out of Puri. So the way it works in Jagannath Puri is different segments of the society have different tasks assigned. Like somebody would be cooking, some Brahmins will be assigned specific puja work, right? Offering worship. And some will do the chariots, some will make the ropes, like one Mataji was saying yesterday. And there's a specific clan called the Sabara clan. You might remember Sabara clan. They're the same clan that were taking care of Neela Madhav when Indradyumna Maharaj was around. So they were the same clan. So same Sabara clan, even they exist even today. And their duty is to carry the Lord, whether it's Snana Puja or Ratha Yatra, you'll find a big, well-built man carrying the Lord. These are all from Sabara clan. Okay, so they started to make preparation to carry the Lord. And next day, early in the morning, they set front, they carried the Lord. And the Lord had given them a specific path. They said, don't go through the main road because Raktabahu will be attacking from there. So you'll have to take a remote jungle path, right? And they started carrying the Lord. They carried him for 11 days. They would rest. At the end of the day, they'll put the Lord down. They'll pluck whatever fruits that is available, offer it to the Lord, put the Lord to rest. And then they'll have the Mahaprasadam and they'll rest and start carrying again next day. And you can imagine these deities. They are like, 7-8 feet tall, big, and 3 of them. So they were carrying them consistently 11 days. Now on the 12th day, they reached Navadvipa. They were passing through Navadvipa, and Jagannath appeared in the dream of the head Sabara. And he said, I like to settle down here, put me down here, and we'll have a temple here. So they made the appropriate plans to put the Lord in this place. Okay, they built a small temple, they set it up. They even had occupied a village close by called, it's called Sabara Dhanga. Okay, so they lived there and continued offering service to the Lord. So the Lord actually lived in Rajapur back then in the 7th century for about 146 years. So what happened after that? So there was a king called Yayati Kesari. So he managed to win Puri back again. And when that happened, he asked the lords to come back, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, to come back to Puri. So they stayed for 146 years in Rajapuri, and then they go back to Puri. And back then, Adi Shankaracharya was very well known because he was very vehemently spreading Advaita philosophy, right? So he was propagating it so strongly so that he can break down the assumptions, philosophies of the Buddhist philosophy. So this Yayati Kesari, he invited Adi Shankaracharya to re-establish Puri temple and install the deities back again in the Puri temple. And this is where we get Adi Shankaracharya has written Jagannathashtakam also, right? So, and we also know that Adi Shankaracharya has 4 pitas. One of them is in Puri, another is in Sringeri, another is in Dwaraka, and one more in Uttarakhand. I think it's called Joshi Mutt. So that there are 4 pitas of Adi Shankaracharya, and one of them is in Puri, and that Puri Mutt is called Govardhan Mutt. So Adi Shankaracharya, he established these deities, and this is how they the Lord reappeared in Puri, and he became unmanifest in Rajapur. But the reason why I'm saying unmanifest, because we need to understand that the Lord is eternally in Rajapur, right? Because he understands as transcendental of Rajapur, right? Why is it transcendental? Because Mayapur, if you remember, it has a lot of potencies. The whole Vrindavana, Govardhana, even Ayodhya is in Mayapur. And now Puri is also in Mayapur. There's a Chaitanya Mutt where Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he very mercifully with his potency, he managed to bring whole Radhakund, Shamakund, Govardhan in within Chaitanya Mutt. So even today, if you go there, there's a place where Govardhan is set up, and you it's said that if you just put circles around this Govardhan, it's as good as covering the whole Govardhan. And there's Radhakund, Shamkund. So you understand that this potency of this place is as such. The Lord is eternally here, right? Because Vrindavan is here, the Lord is here. Chaitanya Prabhu, who is Lord Krishna himself, he is manifest, and hence he has brought the whole Vrindavana into Rajapur and Mayapur. So this way, the whole Vrindavana is also manifested here, and the Lord loves this place because he is in the mood of separation from Vrindavana as Jagannath. So this is where he's always eternally here, though he might manifest in some form for some time and then unmanifest. But we should not look at that such way. So we should see it as he's currently unmanifest, but he's eternally there as such. So this was the first time he appeared in Rajapur, which was in the 7th century. Any questions so far? Any thoughts? Okay, so was that the only time that the Lord manifested? Because we have Jagannath now, so he must have re-manifested sometime. So the Lord has manifested in Rajapur not just once or twice, he's manifested 3 times. And how did he manifest the second time? You can see the deities of Jagannath from the 16th century. Those are pictures, but good reflection of how they looked back then. So in the 16th century, which is what, 500 years from today, right? 500 years from today is who else was in Mayapur? Does anyone know?
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Mahaprabhu.
Mahaprabhu. And his whole devotees were in Mayapur back then, right? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in that time. So this is the same time that Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadramai re-manifested in Rajapur. So how did that happen? So there was this devotee called Jagadisha Ganguly. Okay. So he was an old man, and he was also a devotee of Lord Chaitanya and Jagannath. So he had this practice that every time during Chaturmas, what he would do, he would walk by foot 900 kilometers from his village to Jagannath Puri, 900 kilometers by foot. And then he'll stay for 4 months of the Chaturmas in the Dham, and then he comes back. So once it so happened that this is already old, he was struck by some kind of disease, and he becomes blind. And his friends who usually used to take him to these dhams, Puri, they said, no, you're too old. We are going through jungle. It's going to be dangerous. So it's not good that you walk being old and blind now. So you stay back here. We are not going to take you to Puri. Now this poor Jagadish Ganguly, he realizes he's never going to have darshan of the Lord from here on. So he says, there's no point for my life anymore. So what he does, he says, tomorrow when I go for bath in Mother Ganga, I'll drown myself. There's no value for my life anymore, right? So he says, I'll drown myself in Ganga. And that night, very sorrowfully, he sleeps that night. And it said that Jagannath appears in his dream instantly. You can see how nicely Jagannath is responding to his devotees. He appears in his dreams and say, why are you committing suicide, or why are you thinking of giving up your life when this is the eternal place for Lord Jagannath? You don't even have to go there to Puri. You can have Jagannath right here. So he says, tomorrow when you go for bath in Ganga, you'll find a log of wood that comes to you in Ganga. And as soon as that wood touches your head, you'll get back your sight, right? And what you'll have to do from there on is you'll have to take that log of wood to this carpenter. He's a leper. He has leprosy. So he'll, of course, say no to doing work of the Lord's, but you'll have to somehow convince him and ask him to carve Lord Jagannath with that wood, right? So this way, when he wakes up in the morning, he goes to Mother Ganga and he takes a dip in Ganga. And just like Mother, as he saw in his dream, the log of wood comes and touches his head, and immediately he gets his eyesight back. Now he had to follow the second instruction of Jagannath, which is take this log of wood to a devotee carpenter who also has leprosy currently. So he somehow manages to find this devotee carpenter, and he tells him what happened, how the Jagannath is going to reappear, and he needs to carve this deity from this wood. But this leper carpenter devotee, his body was filled with open wounds, pus. His hands had worn out. There was no fingers left in his hand. And he said, no, I can't do this. I'm incapable of doing this physically. So this Jagannath Ganguly, actually Jagadish Ganguly, he actually tried to reach out to other carpenters around to see if they will carve the wood. But even though they agreed, as soon as they brought their chisel and hammer close to the wood, their tools just broke. As soon as they touched the wood, their tools broke. So nobody was able to carve anything on this wood. Finally, this person, Jagdish, Ganguly comes back to the leper carpenter and insists that he does it. So somehow he convinces, and the carpenter says, okay. He started carving. And very soon, the face appeared, the body appeared. And Jagdish Ganguly, he continued staying with the carpenter because this carpenter was in so much pain trying to carve the Lord. And just to keep motivating him through the whole process, he stayed with the carpenter, right? And eventually the Lord's form was carved, and nicely Jagdish took him back to Rajapura and installed this deity. In there, he made a small temple for the deity, that old temple that I mentioned in the first slide. That is where the temple was set up. But eventually, he got another dream. In the dream, it was told that there's a neem tree close by. So he needs to take that neem tree trunks to the carpenter and have him carve a Subhadra and Balaram deities with that wood. And Jagadisha did that, and the carpenter happily carved that wood this time. So you can see how beautifully the Lord is engaging his devotees. If you want it or not, he will engage us. If you have surrendered to him, he will engage somehow in some kind of devotional service. And this is also his mercy. Like we are listening to his pastimes, it's his mercy. We are doing Gundicha Marjana, that is also his mercy. Or he's giving us this opportunity to pull his cart with the rope, that is also his mercy, right? So we should remember that the mercy of the Lord is not limited to something physical or material. This is also mercy, right? So the Lord is very nicely engaging all of us in all these pastimes. So this is how he finally appeared for the second time in the 16th century, 500 years ago, right? But eventually, so it so happened that after Jagdish Ganguly passed away, his family was not very interested in taking care of the temple, and the temple was in a very neglectful, depleted state, right? Suddenly there was an outbreak of cholera in that whole region. And the inhabitants of the surrounding area, they came to Jagannath and prayed, Prabhu, please take care of us, bring us out of this distress. And the Lord told them that the family of Ganguly has dishonored him. And because of this, everybody in the family and the nearby villages will die, right? So he told them, if you want to save your life, leave this place and go immediately. And it so happened that the next day, the whole Ganguly family was found dead. The whole family was found dead. And eventually it so happened, and of course, since the family left, there was no one to offer prayers, worship to the Lord. So again, the temple became extinct. And it so happened that as per the Navadvipa Mahatmya, right after Lord Chaitanya left his body, this whole region, Gaudiya Desha, was covered under Ganga. Mother Ganga changed her whole route, and the whole Gaudiya Desha, including Mayapur, Rajapur, was submerged underwater for 100 years. And even this temple was underwater for that many years. So eventually, after 100 years, she changed her track, and this regions emerged again. And it's also told that Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was one of the prominent acharyas who tried to find the birthplaces of Lord Chaitanya after that water went back, Mother Ganga went back. So this is how, for many, many years, after Jagdish Ganguly's demise, the temple again became lost, and people stopped worship of Jagannath. But Jagannath continued to stay there, right? And it's evident because after 500 years after his extinct, he manifested again when? Just 60 years back. 60 years back. Can you imagine that? Our parents maybe are going to be at that time. Maybe some of them of us are not being born at that time, but definitely our parents are there at that time, right? Just 60 years, right around the corner. So what happened 60 to 70 years back? Let's understand that. How did Jagannath manifest, reappear again? So it so happened that eventually this area was covered by jungle, deep jungle. It was infested with snakes. And this place where the Jagannath temple was, it was covered with some kind of ant hill, termite hill, right? I request everyone to go on mute. I gave multiple options. Okay, so one day a farmer was passing in this region and he saw a very beautiful blue color flower coming out from this mud termite hill. He was attracted to the flower, but he was scared to go because this place was infested with snakes. So what did he do? He still went a little closer. He could hear a voice coming up from underneath that rumble. The voice was saying, "We are thirsty, give us water." Now this person became very afraid. What did he do? He went to the owner of that property, the person called Fatik Chatterjee. He went to him and he informed them that such a thing has happened. So Fatik Chatterjee somehow managed to dig that area, and then they could see that Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadramai are still under the mud. They emerged from the mud, right? And even after so many years of being under mud, covered with termites, Jagannath had no damage. He was made of wood. Imagine a wooden structure covered with termites. What would happen? Nothing would exist in another 1 year or less in a few months. But even after so many centuries of being under mud, covered with termites, nothing was damaged. He just needed a few retouch painting. He was good, back to good. And Balram and Subhadramai had to have a few fixes done. So they used some local neem tree and they fixed them nicely. But they were also quite in good shape. So this way they re-emerged again. And this Fatik Chatterjee, he was a Shakta. Who's a Shakta? Shakta is a person who meditates Mother Shakti, right? So he was engaged in worship of the Lord now, because this was quite inside forest area, snake, nobody would come. So he do a little worship, whatever he can, offer the light of some incense stick. So he was doing a little bit, not much, but whatever he could, right? So this way, This Phatik Chatterjee, he continued doing service. But one fine day, what happened? This was around 1958. Okay, there was this person, a 15-year boy called Jaimini. Okay, so he was passing in this region, and suddenly, when he was passing, a big bamboo tree just falls in front of him. And he gets scared because he could feel a kind of presence around him. And he crouched in that area in his fear and fell unconscious. And when he came to consciousness, he realized he could hear a voice that says, now the danger is gone, you can go back. But he was a little confused. He said, why did you attack me if you wanted to protect me? He said, no, I didn't attack. The voice said, I didn't attack you, I'm saving you. So this way, he said, if you're actually saving me, then I need to go to Navadvip. Now, if you know Mayapur, Navadvip, if you have to go, you have to pass Mother Ganga by boat, and then on the other side is Navadvip, right? He said, if you're trying to protect me, then take me to my uncle's place in Navadvip. And suddenly, this boy was lifted in air and was carried without any boat to Navadvip, to his uncle's place. That same night, the voice came back to him and said, I'm Jagannath. Please start worshipping these deities in this region. You should offer milk, water, Ganga water, milk, and some fruits, and start worshipping. So this Jaimini, he takes permission of Phatik Chatterjee and starts doing worship, little as much as he could, right? There's another interesting pastime of Jaimini, because once Jaimini, he was sleeping outside this temple. And suddenly he woke up to realize that he's now in Jagannath Puri, participating in the Rath Yatra. So he realized that Jagannath has shifted him to Puri from Rajapur. So from here, so happened that after the Rath Yatra is done, now he started worrying that my parents might be concerned, where's my son, right? So he started asking the local pandas how to return. I don't have money to go back. And he explained what happened, that Jagannath brought me here. Now I don't have money to go back to Rajapur. So the pandas tell him that, if Jagannath brought you here, he should take you back as well. So tell him that to take you back. And that's exactly what he did. He went to Jagannath and told him, I want to return back. So that night he got back to Rajapur. So Jagannath brought him back. So this Jaimini, he used to work, he used to beg from people. He somehow collected some money. He made a fence around the temple, right? But he never had enough money. He prayed to Jagannath saying, I don't have money to serve you. Suddenly a log of wood breaks and falls. And he sold that log. He could offer some food to the deities that day. And then again, he was out of money. So what he said, Jagannath, this is not happening. I don't have enough money to serve you, right? So you'll have to give me some way to serve. So that day onwards, it said that a little amount of money was always there next to Jagannath. That was enough for the day's service. So this way he continued his service. And this Jaimini, he left his body very recently in the early 2000s. So this incident is as recent as that, less than 25 years. Right now, so what happened to this Phatik Mukherjee, who was taking care of the temple? So you should understand that he was trying to help as much as he could. And it so happened that once, just give me a second. So this was around 1971. During the Bangladesh war, there was a lot of communal unrest in the Bengal region, especially the area around the temple. It's surrounded by Muslim people of Muslim religion, Islam religion. So there was a lot of communal unrest in this religion. So this Phatik Chatterjee had, I think, 2 or 3 daughters. So he was a little scared for the safety of his daughters, and he decided he's going to leave Rajapur and shift to another place called Katwa, where the communal distress was a little lesser. But it so happened that the neighbor people in the surrounding, they started hearing voices from the temple because the worship of the Lord had again stopped. They started hearing voices from the temple that said, why is nobody coming? Why is nobody feeding us? And they were very scared because they remembered that the last time the service to the Lord was stopped, there was floods, there was an epidemic. So they were scared. So that what they did, they went to Fatik Chatterjee and told him, you please come back. We'll take personal responsibility for your protection. We'll be there protecting you 24/7, but Jagannath has to be served again. So this way they convinced Fatik to come back and start worship of the deities. Okay, and this same Fatik, at one point he wanted to marry one of his daughters. So the wedding was happening within the temple, and wedding means a lot of money, jewelry, gold. So some dacoits in this region got to know about this wedding that was going on in the temple. So they came to the temple with the intention to rob these people. But suddenly, these dacoits, they didn't enter the temple. They were just standing outside the gate and they were having some kind of discussion. Like they were not attempting to enter. They were just standing there and having a debate, argument. And finally, they left the temple and went. And so it so happened that few days later, this gang, a leader of the dacoits, he came back to the temple and he was knocking on Fatik's door, Fatik Chatterjee's door. And he said, I want to talk to you. Fatik said, no, I don't want to talk to you, just go. But he said, I want to tell you what happened that day in the wedding. It so happened that when they came to rob, they could see a blue light that was coming from Jagannath, and it was covering his head, Fatik Chatterjee's head. So these dacoits understood, though they were dacoits, they had some kind of spiritual understanding. So they understood that this Fatik Chatterjee was under the protection of the Lord. So they didn't dare come in and create any disturbance. And that's why they left. So they understood that this Fatik Chatterjee is under the protection of the Lord. It also happened that once Fatik's wife, she was unwell. And it was raining very heavily outside, and Fatik Chatterjee had to do some service in the temple. So she was sleeping in the house. And when he finally came back in the evening, there was this big footsteps that he could see on the ground, which he could understand were footsteps of Lord Jagannath, because it was not ordinary size footsteps, they were huge footsteps. And as soon as he applied the dust of this footstep on the forehead of his wife, she recovered. There were many such incidents that happened in Jagannath. And today, our session is very special because it's filled with the pastimes of Jagannath. Okay, before we go ahead, is there any questions on the appearance of Jagannath, how he appeared 3 times, once in the 7th, 16th, and then just a century back, 60 years back? Okay, let's move on then. So a lot of lovely pastimes. It's a nice way to remember the mercy of the Lord as well. So this was a time when Lord Jagannath didn't want to leave. So there are many stories about pastimes, and all these pastimes I'm telling is recorded in the last 70 years or so, or some even closer than that, like less than 20, 25 years. So the Lord, he's showing in this pastime that I'm going to tell you now, how he always wants his devotees to be around him. It's not just he wants the devotees to be around him, stay in Rajapur, but he also did not want to leave Rajapur. So this happened. There was an assistant of Fatik Chatterjee. His name was Ram Bhattacharjee. Okay, so he was assisting Fatik with his deity service in the temple. But understood that this area is a little remote in the jungle. It's a little difficult to live here. So Ram and his wife and his son, they were thinking we should leave this place and go back to our village. Life might be a little more comfortable there. But as soon as they thought about leaving Rajapur, what would happen is there'll be a lot of disturbance in the house. It's like someone is trying to stop them, or things will be moved around. A lot of disturbance. And this Ram Bhattacharjee, he understood that Jagannath is not letting him leave the place. So he'll come back to Jagannath, say, okay, I'll stay back. And from there, all this disturbance would stop. Even his son, Dilip, Ram Bhattacharjee's son, Dilip, he tried to leave Rajapur. And sometimes whenever he thought of leaving, Jagannath would sometimes appear very lovingly. He'll try to convince him to stay. Sometimes, like a rowdy, he'll sit on his chest, threaten him, if you go, I'll take care of you. Okay, so he'll sit on his chest and threaten him. And this way, somehow Dilip Ram Bhattacharya, they never left Rajapur after that. So you can see how the Lord is executing his authority on his devotees. Now, if you look at your personal relationships, such authorities you'll do like your mother, you'll demand that a certain item is cooked for you, or you'll demand that a certain type of cloth is given to you, right? But that demand is made out of a place of love, affection. You'll make that demand only to a person who you love dearly, or who loves you back dearly. You won't do it to somebody who is a little distant. So Jagannath is showing the same kind of affection. He's telling his devotees, you have to stay here, you'll have to serve me, right? He's demanding such devotion from his devotees. So this is his way of reciprocating to his devotees. Now, it also happened that once, because Fatik Bhattacharya and his assistants, they were doing a little bit, but they were not doing the best of services, right? So the local Brahmins, they felt that they can do better service of the Lord. So what they do, they one day come steal Jagannath from the altar, and as they were trying to go back to their village, they had a huge rush of nature's call. So they were forced to keep Jagannath in the side, finish their business. They came back. But once they came back, all these people who carried Jagannath till here were not able to lift him back again. They tried to bring more people, lift Jagannath, but Jagannath is not moving. So they realized that Jagannath, he doesn't want to leave Rajapur. Right. So what did they do? They went back to Rajapur temple. They informed the priest what happened. They apologized and told the pujaris to go bring Jagannath back. And just two pujaris went. They lifted Jagannath, brought him back. So this is a way. Jagannath also doesn't want to leave Rajapur. So there was another incident, and again, this is all happening less than 25 years now. So there was, and this is a very nice, well-remembered incident and very humorous as well. So it so happened that Jagannath, he's very famous in the surroundings, right? The local, even the Muslims there, they come at the beginning of Snana Yatra, whatever the first harvest is there, fruits, vegetables, rice, they offer to the Lord. So this way, the Lord is a universal Lord. He's not limited to certain family, caste, country. He's universal, right? So this one time, Snana Yatra, there were two rickshaw drivers. Okay, one was a Hindu, one was a Muslim. They were friends. So the rickshaw driver, he came during Snana Yatra. He took some khichdi prasadam. And because his friend was waiting outside, he took another khichdi prasadam for his friend. But this friend who was a Muslim, he didn't accept the prasadam. He said, I'm not going to eat all this food that is offered to deities, ideals. So he threw the Mahaprasada. But that night, he had a very horrific dream. So it so happened that he dreamt that Balaram is sitting on his chest and he's beating him. And he's threatening him and saying, don't you know that my brother is worshipped by honoring his Mahaprasadam? He's showing his mercy through this Mahaprasadam. How dare you dishonor it, throw it on the ground? So he's beating him. This was very scary for him. But what was more scary was Subhadra Mai was there laughing. He said, telling Balaram, kill him, kill him. He dishonored Krishna, kill him. And right next is Jagannath. He's also smiling. And he's saying, no, it's okay, don't kill him. It's fine, leave him. Okay. So he woke up from this dream trembling. And next day he came running to the temple and he told the Pandit Pujari there what happened. He said, please give me some Mahaprasad. But Mahaprasad was over that day. But he begged, he very humbly, he requested, fell on the ground and requested for some Mahaprasad. And finally the Pujari from some corner, he managed to find some Mahaprasad and give it to this person. Right? So this is a reciprocation you see between the Lord and his devotees. And he's taken control of the devotee's life. Anyone who's living in this area, there's some kind of control, ownership is showing up on these people as well. Now, this episode with Balram coming and beating the devotee or person who insults Krishna, this is not new, right? Balram has done that before as well. This was a time when Samba, who is the son of Krishna, his mother is Jambavati. So Samba, he once goes to Hastinapura, and Duryodhana's daughter, who's Lakshmana, her Swayamvara was going on. He kidnaps Lakshmana with the intention of marrying her. And this was before the Kurukshetra war, of course. And at the same time, these Kauravas, they attacked him. Many Kauravas, big kings from the Kaurava king, they attacked him from all directions and captured him, just like Abhimanyu, very unjustly captured a Kshatriya. So Krishna heard about this, that his son was captured, and he wanted to personally go to Hastinapura and attack the Kauravas. But Balarama said, no, you stay here, I'll manage the situation, right? So Balaram goes to Hastinapura. They tried to superficially take care of him, gave him a nice place to stay. The next day when he came to the court and said, okay, I see that you have unjustly captured Samba, but I'm ready to forget all of this. Let's get them married and give a happy ending to this whole episode. But suddenly Kauravas started showing their real nature at this point. They insulted Krishna, saying, he's a Gwala. What is his credibility to ask for a hand of a princess in marriage? You don't even have the right. You don't deserve this kingly honor, the throne, the crown. You don't deserve it. You should give up all of this and go back to being a cowherd. They started insulting Krishna and Balrama even. But more than the insults that Balrama heard, he was angry about the insults they had made on Krishna. And in that anger, he took out his plow and said, this whole Hastinapura, I'll drag it to Yamuna, make it whole upside down, destroy the whole city. He threatened as such. He showed his Ananta form. We should understand he is no natural human being. So listening to his threat, now Kauravas came to their senses and they said, they asked forgiveness. And finally, they married Samba and Lakshmana. And this way, Balrama reacting to insults to Krishna is not, it's not something out of the ordinary. He does that. He's very protective of Krishna. Right? Anytime somebody insults Krishna or doesn't honor him in the right way, we should always be scared of Balram, because he will instantly react, because that's the position of anyone who serves the Lord, right? So the benevolence that Jagannath is showing in Rajapur or Puri, that should not be taken casually. Dishonoring the prasadam, it should not be done casually, right? Mahaprasadam, in whatever form it comes to us, is very pure and should be honored with the intention that Krishna is coming. That is Krishna himself. The prasada is Krishna himself, and the same respect should be given to the prasada as we give to Krishna. Okay. So there are many such pastimes, and this other pastime happened around the time. This was around 1978. This was a time that the temple was, there was a lot of discussions going about who should, that ISKCON will take over Rajapur, because Chatterjee had become old by now, and he had a dream that Jagannath told him, you should hand over this Rajapur to ISKCON. So he approached Jayapadaka Swami Maharaj back in those days, and he signed some kind of legal papers. A lot of that discussion was going on, right? And in those days, the temple was newly acquired. There was not much arrangements around. They would bring a tiffin box from the temple and offer it to the lords. So there was no kitchen. Even the doors were broken. It was just being acquired. So it so happened that the devotee from ISKCON, he carried this tiffin box. He came all the way to Rajapur. Then he realized he did not have a tulsi leaf to make the offering. But he cannot leave the place and go and bring tulsi either, because some animal, insects, can just walk into the temple and put their mouth, make the whole boga unclean. So with that intention, he said, this is all I can do today. Please forgive me. I can't offer this boga with the tulsi leaf. If you could please accept this as it is. And he closes the door of the half broken door. He closes it and he does his Sandhya Vandana, he prayers. He was doing all that. And after the prayer was complete, he goes back. And then he sees that though he offered the plates without a tulsi, but a 10-inch long a stem or trunk of tulsi had grown on the pots. It was standing on the mold of rice. So Mother Tulsi had appeared there on her own will, and this way Tulsi and Jagannath, we even have a Tulsi Mantapa there. It's said that wherever Tulsi grows on a free will without being planted, we know that Vishnu stays there, especially in a Vishnu temple. If Tulsi is growing very nicely, we know that Vishnu is definitely residing in that place. So this way we understand that the Lord himself is there in this Jagannath Puri as well, right? So further, there's a lot of pastimes, and I'll try to see how many pastimes we can cover. We'll take some questions, realizations at the end as well. So this was the time when, again, a couple of years back, there was a girl, Muslim girl. She was blind by birth, partially blind, and the father had taken her to many doctors. And it so happened that nobody could heal her properly. There was no medications to cure her. And the father had heard about the greatness, the benevolent nature of Jagannath, and he brought the blind girl to the temple. He prayed to Jagannath. And it said that after consuming Jagannath's prasadam, Charnamrit, for 7 days, she miraculously got her eyesight back. So until the last day, she would say that even though she is quite old, she could still see everything very nicely, so we can understand. But we should also understand that this mercy that Jagannath is showing is a kripa siddhi. It's like a lottery ticket. It does not mean that all of us we should stop we should be easy on our worship on Jagannath or Krishna, right? These are kripa siddhi, like a lottery ticket. If Krishna wants to give it, he'll give it. If he doesn't give it, then we have no right to question him, right? But for devotees, it should be known that we should continue serving the Lord. Whether he's benevolent or not benevolent, we should continue serving the Lord, do our regulative, follow the regulative principles, 16 rounds is a minimum, right? And if the Lord decides to be benevolent, then great. If he's not benevolent, then that's also okay with us, right? But we can see how Jagannath is nicely saving people, showing his kindness to his people around him. And there's another very, very nice pastime of the Lord. So this happened again around the time that ISKCON was taking over Rajapur, and the ISKCON has many. There were some legal papers they had to sign. So ISKCON had many people who were still had to sign this document, legal paper, and say, okay, the transition is all complete and clean. Now, as soon as there was an understanding that ISKCON is going to take over Rajapur, the Pujari, he started sending prasadam to Jagannath Puri. Okay, but because this whole legal thing was taking some time, it's Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, he said, let's not do any deity service yet. Let's all the legal processes be completed, then we'll do a proper deity worship. We'll start from them. But by now, they had already started offering. But since Jayapataka Swami Maharaj had said, let's not do anything right now, they suddenly stopped offering. But so suddenly Jagannath was having some kind of prasada, and then after some times he was not getting any bhoga. So it so happened that this pujari, he got a dream that one day when he was entering the temple, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, Maya are missing from the altar in Rajapur. And he just goes out to check where did they go, and they are running in the fields far away. They're saying, we are not going to stay here, we are going to Mayapur Chandrodaya temple because we get nice boga there. Here we are not even feeding me, so we are going to leave this place and go away. So this way, this pujari goes and informs Jayapataka Swami Maharaj that I got this dream that they want to leave Jagannath and come to Chandrodaya Mandir. And Jayapataka Swami didn't realize that this prasadam service had already started. He said, if I knew that you had already started the service, maybe I wouldn't have ever told you to stop the service. You should continue offering prasadam. Since we have already started it, continue. So this way they started. They started with 20 items a day. But what is the minimum number we serve the Lord generally?
56.
56 Chappan Bhog, right? So, but there was this desire that eventually we should get to 56 items. But initially, because there was limitation of fund, Mayapur did not have, ISKCON did not have so much funds to have Chappan Bhog 8 times a day. They started with 20 items a day. But how they moved to 56 items a day is also interesting story. It happened with Jananivas Prabhuji. He's one of the head pujaris. He's a head pujari of Mayapur. So they wanted to do 56, he prayed to Jagannath one day and said, for the next 1 month from Purnima, I'm going to offer you 56 items. Okay. But after 1 month, we'll not be able to continue because we don't have the resources to do that kind of offering every day. So you'll have to make some arrangement. So what happened? He made that first day offering, and some devotee who heard about this 50 Chappan Bhog, he said, okay, I'll donate for the offering for the next 1 month. And when Jananivas Prabhu was talking about this, how he offered for 1 day and Jagannath arranged for Chappan Bhog for another month, another 2 devotees came front and said, we will do it for another 2 months, right? So like this, every day, Jagannath somehow managed to get Chappan Bhog from then on, never stopped, right? Even today in Jagannath in Rajapur, there's a Nitya Seva, which costs about 25,000. So what is the Nitya Seva for? It's to take care of the deities. So every day, all the bhogas, the personal peripheralia of the Lord, all these are taken care with the Nitya Seva. So any of you, if you're interested to make that donation to Rajapur temple, if you can always go to their website and make a donation of 25,000. This will go towards the personal maintenance so that the Lord is never, the Chappan Bhog never stops for the Lord from here on. Right? So this is the pastime of the Lord, where the Lord wanted to run away to Mayapur so he can have better prasadam. Okay. Okay. Are you interested in hearing more pastimes, or is there something you want to discuss beyond the pastimes?
It's nice, Mataji.
Okay, we can continue with the pastimes. If you have any comment, just stop me and you can share your thoughts. Okay, so so this happened, and I'm trying to bring about this story which shows where how the Lord is punishing as well. So I'm trying to bring it up. We'll tell you in conclusion what is the idea, what's the reason why Jagannath punishes sometime. We'll talk about that as well. So this happened that there was a girl who was in the premises of the temple. She was a Muslim girl and she was not aware of how to be, what's the culture around the Lord. So she was sitting with the feet facing the Lord. So everyone told her, this is Thakurji, you should not show your feet to him. She didn't. She said, I don't care. I don't. And she continued showing her feet. And it so happened that this girl, she had some kind of infection on her leg, and she lost her leg after some time. Even today, she's there in Rajpur, and she walks on her knees. She doesn't have the legs still. So this lady is still there. And but we should remember that why the Lord is sometimes he's very affectionate, sometimes he's threatening, punishing. We should understand why that happens as well. And we'll, after a few more pastimes, I'll get to that as well. Okay. And there was this time when the milkman who was bringing milk to Jagannath Rajpur, he once told the guard who was the guard's name was Prahlad. He told the guard that every day about 40 liters of his milk was getting curdled, spoiled. So when this watchman Prahlad, he asked him, why do you do anything, like do you add water to the milk? He said, yes, it's how I run my business. To make a little extra money, I do add milk to and the watchman told him, stop adding milk. And from that day onwards, the milk stopped curdling, getting spoiled. So that's a few other pastimes. And there's also this pastime of, there's a certain Odana Shashti. Odana Shashti means it indicates the transition to a winter season. And that's when the deities get warm clothes, sweaters and woolen wear. But it so happened that this particular season, winter, it was cold even before Odana Shashti. And everyone could feel the chill in the air. And the pujari was sleeping in his room, and suddenly he heard a knock, and he's saying, "Why are you not offering us blankets? You have one. What about us? You're sleeping very nicely under your quilt. Don't you think we feel cold as well?" So that was Jagannath shouting at the pujari, and they started offering the warm clothes to the Lord much before that. And this is how we understand. And this same god, Prahlada, he has a lot of nice stories to tell as well, pastimes. So it so happened that once this Prahlada, he was given a pot of, he's a watchman. Okay, so he was offered a pot of Mahaprasad, and he was tired of the day, so he did not bother eating that Mahaprasad the same day. But it so happened that a dog came and it ate off the Mahaprasadam, right? Now he understood that he had committed a mistake. He had not respected the Mahaprasadam, and he was sure that he's going to get some kind of punishment for that. So next day he goes, apologizes, and that same night, after he apologizes, Krishna, he had a dream that Jagannath is sitting on his chest and is beating him black and blue. How dare you dishonor the Mahaprasadam? And Subhadra is trying to stop Krishna and saying, he's a devotee, he's already apologized. Stop trying, don't kill him. Stop beating him. And then because Krishna was not, Jagannath was not listening, she finally approached Balram and said, Balram, you take care of Jagannath. Please pull him out. He's going to kill that watchman. So this way, Jagannath had to physically pull, Balram had to physically pull Jagannath from Prahlad. So after hearing about this, Balram had to, so this is one such pastime where the Krishna himself is so personally attached. He doesn't want his devotees to dishonor his prasadam, and he's offended by someone dishonoring this prasadam. And this same god, Prahlada, because this was a snake infested region and there was no proper temple at that time. So he used to sit on the trunk of a tree and watch over the place. He sit on a mango tree. And one fine day, he saw a very well-dressed person with some kind of fragrance, nice clothes, hair, the whole place filled up with some kind of fragrance when he walked by. And suddenly there was a loud kirtan going on inside the temple. The temple was locked from outside, but suddenly there's loud kirtan going on. Kartals, mridangas are going on. And there's some light coming out, and he could hear, like the Bengalis ladies, they tend to do this lulu sound when they do offering prayers. So that sound is coming from inside the temple, though the temple is locked. And from that, they understood that the devatas, the demigods, are visiting the temple in the night and offering prayers. Right. And there was this very instance that there are times when some thieves, they would try to, because this was a remote temple, there was a thief who tried to rob some things from the temple. And many people told him, a deity of Jagannath is very powerful. You shouldn't be doing all this. He's very intolerant. Anyone taking things from him is very intolerant. But this thief continued robbing. And one fine day, people caught him, and out of anger, they cut off his hand. But the thief understood why this punishment was given to him. So before he was taken by the cops, the police, he said, I want to go to Jagannath and offer my obeisances, forgiveness, beg for forgiveness. So though he had hand chopped, he first went to Jagannath, asked for forgiveness, and then he was captured by the cops. And there were similar stories of some workers. There was constructions happening because ISKCON was building a temple. There was a construction worker who used to rob the marbles from the temple. And one fine day, he gets this dream that said, return all the marbles, everything that you've robbed, return it, right? So the next day, the thief actually had to come back and give all the marbles. So the Lord is personally protecting this place. It so happened that once one ISKCON devotee family, they came, settled in Rajapur. His name was Sadhana Siddhi Prabhu. He had a small son, and he casually entered the altar, and he saw this brooch on Subhadra, and he loved that brooch, and he just walked there to take the brooch from Subhadra. And he then came crying out of the altar. He told his mother that Balram, he hit him because he tried to take something from Subhadra. So you can see how personally they're taking care of each other. So this way, there was the other pastime. So how Govardhana came into the altar. So somehow Govardhana appeared, somebody donated a Govardhana or something like that. He appeared in the altar. And once the pujari gets a dream to say, this guy Govardhana, Jagannath is complaining about Govardhana and saying he's such a greedy person. Like he likes to eat food even before the offering is done. He's finished eating. He loves sweets. So if we don't get anything to eat. So from today, we'll have to offer 2 plates, one for him, Govardhana, and one for Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. So even today, they offer 2 plates of boga in Rajapur, one for Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, and one for Govardhana separately. Okay. And this is a very, very recent pastime. This is the last pastime we are going to talk on. So this happened very close, early 2000. So there was a couple who wanted to visit Puri for a long time. And one day, the wife got a dream that Radha Madhav from Mayapur, they are saying, they are telling him, in the dream, telling Mayapur, Mayapur. So they thought, okay, but they actually wanted to go to Puri, Jagannath Puri. But because the Radha Madhav appeared in their dream, they said, okay, let's go to Mayapur then. So they went to have darshan, and through locally, they got to know that they don't even have to go to Puri anymore. Jagannath is right here. So they then went to Rajapur and had darshan of the Lord. And it's also said that the Jagannath here is no different from the Jagannath you have in Puri. The same rituals, the same processes, the same mood is followed even here. So everything is the same. It's just that he's simultaneously manifested both in Puri and Rajapur at the same time. So even when we pray, we should pray not with that intention that Puri is better or this Jagannath is better. No, it's with the understanding that wherever the Lord exists, wherever Krishna exists, that is Vrindavana, right? So Vrindavana can happen in Mayapur, Vrindavana can happen in Jagannath Puri, or it can happen in, so it just needs, even Srila Prabhupada or Bhakti Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also says, wherever the devotees constantly think of the Lord, that becomes a dham, Vrindavana. So we should always remember that this place, Jagannath Puri, he sometimes is very pleased, he sometimes is punishing. But how do we understand this? How do we understand Jagannath's mood? Why does he do this? That's very nicely explained in the 8th verse of Shikshashtakam, right? What does the verse say? Ashrishya vapadaratam pinashtu mam adarshana marmahatam karotu va yata tata va vidhadatu lampato mat prananatastu sa eva naparaha. I know no one but Krishna is the Lord. He shall remain, or even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me brokenhearted by not being present before me, he's completely free to do anything and everything. He's always my worshipable Lord unconditionally. So that explains the mood of a devotee. So sometimes we see the Lord is very loving, he's reciprocating very lovingly, and sometimes he's punishing. So how do we understand it? This is not a new situation. Even Krishna has done the same thing. He has lifted Govardhana to protect his devotees. He killed demons like Agasura to protect his devotees, or Jarasandha, Hiranyakashipu, because he wanted to remove irreligion. So he's doing the same thing here as well. So even during the Brahma Vimochana Leela, when Brahma kidnapped the Gopa boys, he later realized Krishna's position and he's offering a lot of elaborate prayers. These prayers are seen in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But Krishna is not pleased with Brahma. He just glances at him and moves on. So why does Krishna behave like this or like that? Because Krishna, he's showing his Abhigna Swarata in his relationship with his devotees. What does Abhigna mean? Abhigna is fully cognizant. He is completely aware of the past, present, future, and even our internal hidden thoughts. He's aware of that. So his abhigna and his swarata is fully independent, right? He doesn't have to be bound by the material rules. He can act however he wants. And remember, this Jagannath is also Krishna. He's Krishna himself. He is Krishna in the Mahabhava Rupa, in intense separation of Vrindavan. So sometimes you might wonder, why did he show this sudden mercy to this blind girl? Why not to a Brahmana? Because he's fully independent to do that. That is, like I mentioned, Kripa Siddhi, or sudden mercy, like a lottery ticket. You may get the sudden mercy, but it's not a assured mercy. If Krishna wants to give, he will give. But for devotees, our only way is to continue our regulated devotional service. So we do at any which way, just like the verse, Shikshashtakam verse 8 says, he might hug us, crush us with his embrace, or he might keep us brokenhearted because he's not appearing in front of us. It doesn't matter. He might appear by his free will, he does not appear. But for us, he still continues to be the most worshipable Lord. Right? So let's not forget that even the part that we're sitting here listening to these pastimes, we're talking, this is also Jagannath's very causeless mercy. So with that, we end the third day of the pastimes of Jagannath in Rajapur. If you're interested in reading more of these pastimes, there's a very nice book by Pankajangri Prabhuji. The book's name is Pastimes and History of Lord Jagannath in Rajapur. So you can maybe pick up this book in Amazon. Okay, so this Pankajangri Prabhu is also the brother of Jananivas Prabhu. He's a head pujari of Mayapur. So with that, we'll bring this third day to a conclusion. If you could all please chant with me, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra,
Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev,
Jai
Jai Subhadra,
Sudarshana.
Jai
So we have a
Sudarshan.
few minutes.
Jai Sudarshan.
If any of you want to share some comments, any realizations, you're free to talk now.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Jankana Mataji. Mataji, it was very, very, insightful session. I mean, I heard all of it for the first time.
Okay.
And really, really nice, Mataji. If you can also
Yes.
share in the group, like what is the name of the book,
I will.
Mataji. And also, Mataji, how do we know about this, what happened in the 7th and the 16th century, Mataji? Like, how do we how did we get this information?
Okay, so there's a book. One second, if you all of us could go on mute for a second. So there's a book on the Navadvipa Mahatmya. I think it was written by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So all these pastimes that we discussed today are coming from those references.
Oh, thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you.
Krishna.
It was really, really nice to hear all of it.
Jai. Jai Jagannath.
Jai Jagannath.
Are there any other comments,
Hare Krishna,
realizations?
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
After ages, I could connect with this Bhagavatam, and it was very, very enlightening to hear about the Rajapur Jagannath, and also about the pastimes of Puri Jagannath too. It's
Yes.
how he has manifested himself there in Rajapur, and
Yes.
the story of Jagdish
Ganguly.
person, Ganguly was. It's really very, very. I mean, I never heard about it. It was very, very enlightening, and I enjoyed listening. It's though I've been wanting to join it. Luckily today I joined and I got this beautiful information and all this knowledge. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for joining us today, Mataji. But you can listen to the recordings for the last 2 days. You can reach out to Sri Hari Prabhu and he can share those recordings with you as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Dandavat Pranam. Are
Hare
there any
Krishna.
other realizations?
Yeah, Mataji, in Rajapur Jagannath Dham, no, that is so, they are very pretty and beautiful. You can
Yes.
just stand near them, just, for 2 or 3 steps
Yes.
You can go very closer, you can show agarbatti, you can
Yes.
show deepam and all, but it's not possible in Puri, no? So
Absolutely.
here it's very nice. We ourselves can show deepa
Yes.
and all.
Even
Lovely,
in
yeah.
Puri, they are pretty close by. Like, there's no
No, Puri is not
separation.
close,
Yeah.
very far,
But
very far.
yes.
Here, no, you can just touch them. If you
Yes.
extend your hand, if you
Yes.
just bend little, you can touch them. They're very beautiful.
Absolutely.
I love the
Absolutely.
place very much.
Jai,
Yeah.
thank you for
Ash.
sharing. Any other realizations? What do you think of Jagannath now? Now that you heard about so many pastimes, are there any natural things that dawn on you after hearing so many pastimes of Jagannath? What is that
I
key
want
thing?
to visit all these 3 places, Mataji.
Absolutely, Mataji. You and me both.
That would be great.
Jai, someday.
The very name explains that Jagannath, he is there always, everywhere, within
Yes.
us, without us. And I mean, he's like Sarvavyapi, he is there all
Yes.
around us.
Yes.
So his existence is made more known to us in these pastimes, so that we can, I mean, there is no question of any doubt about the presence of the Lord.
Yes.
I mean, the creator of the whole universe.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's why he's Jagannath, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So that's the feeling. It's Lord Krishna is the Jagannath, and
yes.
he's
And
there
the
everywhere.
mercy he's showing is not
Yes.
just limited to people like
Yes.
Hindus or certain sects. Everybody, like I said, he's the universal master, right?
Yes.
Beyond all religion, he's willfully showing so much mercy across. And it's not just showing mercy.
Even today,
Yes.
it is the same. I feel it is the very situation we
Yes.
are in, and he is showing mercy to everybody. There is no
Everybody.
Bow at all. But let me see. I'm actually I'm hearing about this two blind, one girl getting sight and another
Yes.
Jagdish Ganguly also getting his vision.
Yep.
I have a eye problem too. And
Okay.
let me see where I
Yes,
stand in
but
the queue.
please be in the mood, like I mentioned, whether Jagannath shows mercy or does not show
Yes, yes.
mercy. It's not that we
I am a
pray to
devotee.
Jagannath for a mercy
I
at
am a
all.
devotee. Sri
Absolutely.
Hari Prabhu knows about me. I
Okay.
am a devotee, and I mean, I do my devotion. He knows what to give to me.
Absolutely.
He knows
Yes.
where to what to give
Absolutely.
when.
That should be the mood. Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that realization.
Mataji, I
Krishna,
have one
Mataji.
doubt.
Yes, Pranav Prabhuji.
Mataji, God created us. The universe is created by gods. But who is creator of God?
God has no creator and hence he's the God. He's eternal, unborn.
Dhanyavad Mataji. Mataji, and I have one doubt.
Yes.
In our Vedas, what is time written after eating food? The some are telling that after eating food, don't drink water for 40 minutes. Some are telling 20
Yeah,
minutes.
that's more of a Ayurvedic question, but as per my knowledge, it says 1 hour after, 1 hour before. Don't drink water. You can have buttermilk during the meal, but not water.
Dhanyavad Mataji. Hare
Dhanyavad.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions related to the topic we discussed? Any other thoughts, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can
Hare
I
Krishna.
just share something?
Absolutely, Mataji. Go ahead.
Mataji, the deities in Rajapur are very, very different and unique. They are little more elongated. And
yes.
you usually do not commonly see such deities.
Yes. Yes. Even the first time I saw Rajapur, that was a
they
striking
are very
point.
strikingly different.
Yeah,
Yes,
strikingly different. Yes.
And Mataji, when they were found in the mud, there was a complete termite hill. And there were so many termites, but you see, the wood was not eaten.
Yes.
They were not.
In fact, it's said that Jagannath was covered with some kind of frankincense. Now, this frankincense, it's a kind of incense, but it has a lot of camphor. It's got a lot of crushed rocks, different kind of things. So he was covered with that, and
that
when
was protecting it, I suppose.
Yes, it was protecting the Lord's. Or the
Lord
was
himself has
protected himself. Nobody else can do it.
And that is our blessing. We got him so safely for us, isn't it?
Yes.
After all the protection,
he's giving us favor to find him.
Manifest himself to us. So he has done that.
Absolutely.
So we again have to be grateful to him for that whole.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay, we
Hare
have the last.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Jai Mataji.
Mataji, Rath Yatra was started by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mataji, or before that only it was there?
It was there much before. From the time Jagannath Puri, Indradyumna Maharaj, even from, you can hear stories of how Rath Yatra was done. But of course, it picked up. We see a lot of stories during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time as well. Prataparudra sweeping the king, sweeping the grand road where the Ratha was going. And in ISKCON, it was repropagated again by Srila Prabhupada. Right, and I also mentioned a devotee named Jayananda. He plays a very important role in different centers of ISKCON. He has restarted the whole Rath Yatra process. People who had never heard of Krishna, they were doing Rath Yatras, assembling in 10,000, 12,000. And Jayananda Prabhu had a very important role in organizing, making sure everything happens. So this is how it comes to ISKCON as well. We'll hear a lot more about it in tomorrow's session on how Jagannath appeared in ISKCON. So we'll have a session on that as well. But Rath Yatra is a very, very old tradition. It happened much before. Like the whole pastime of Lakshmi coming on the 5th day, it actually happened. Right, the Hira Panchami thing, it actually happened. So all these pastimes are very spiritual. It's just not limited to the material existence, but and we have to look at it in that way. It's not just a festival happening at a material sense or a symbolic sense.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Hare Krishna. So with that, we conclude our third session. I hope you do join us tomorrow for to hear more about how Jagannath appeared in ISKCON. Okay. Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadramai, Vachakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo
Thanks,
bhavanebhyo
Mataji.
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Thanks,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam, Mataji.
Mataji. And to all.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Sweet
Dandavat
band
to everybody.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Janvat Pradam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.